Iran overpowers the U.S. in the skies, fighter jets surround Trump-linked aircraft, declares total airspace control. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Perspective. The skies over the Middle East have just witnessed a direct challenge to a superpower. Iran deployed fighter jets, closing in and surrounding an aircraft linked to Donald Trump, boldly declaring absolute control of the airspace right before Washington's eyes. For years, American dominance in the skies was seen as unquestionable. But now, that very airspace has become a stage where Tehran is demonstrating a calculated psychological show of force. The message is unmistakable: anyone entering this sky must play by Iran's rules. As blockades rise under the banner of power, Iran responds with an aerial lockdown that forces the region to hold its breath, and compels the world to reassess the true balance of power. Above Trump's head, fighter jets are not just flying, they are redrawing the boundaries of influence. And this is only the beginning. The sky lockdown. Iran has chosen a language every superpower understands: action. At a time when reports suggested Iran's air force had weakened, Tehran responded with a direct and visible demonstration. A large number of fighter jets were mobilized at precisely the right moment, escorting and surrounding a flight tied to Trump. This was not just an escort mission, it was a calculated psychological operation. Iran's military made its position clear. They reject claims of weakness and affirm full operational capability and readiness for escalation. In that moment, as Iranian jets surrounded the aircraft, the balance of power in the skies shifted instantly. The question became unavoidable: who truly controls the Middle East airspace? Diplomacy meets power. At the same time, Pakistan's military leadership arrived in Tehran, engaging in talks seen as mediation between Iran and the United States. But Iran's message remained firm. They do not need external assistance to control their skies. Warnings escalated further: the current ceasefire, they said, is temporary and can collapse at any moment if their interests are ignored. At the center of this tension lies the Strait of Hormuz, a global energy choke point. When one side tightens control at sea, the other responds by locking the sky. The confrontation is no longer limited, it has become multidimensional. Ultimatum from Tehran. Following the aerial display, Iran escalated the situation with a sharp warning. From Iran's parliament came a blunt message: either Iran's rights are recognized, or the region returns to war. At the heart of this warning is the Strait of Hormuz, through which millions of barrels of oil pass daily. By placing Hormuz at the center of the chessboard, Iran is holding a lever capable of shaking the global economy. If maritime routes are disrupted, oil prices will surge, transport systems will stall, global supply chains will be destabilized. This is a weapon that requires no missile, yet impacts the entire world. U.S. response: naval blockade. While Iran locked the skies, the United States responded from below, with a sweeping maritime blockade. U.S. Central Command established a hard boundary, restricting vessels entering and leaving Iranian ports. Within 24 hours, ships turned back mid-route. Global shipping slowed. Tensions reached critical levels. But Iran did not stand still. They expanded the battlefield. Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, Red Sea. Iran warned that any attack on its vessels would be considered an act of war. A two-layer confrontation. The region is now trapped in a dual-layer conflict. Airspace, controlled by Iran. Sea routes, pressured by the U.S. Each side holds a tool capable of global disruption. The danger lies in escalation, neither side is willing to step back. Economic shockwaves begin. With skies locked and seas restricted, the real impact emerges: the global economy. Iran understands it doesn't need to fire a shot. Targeting the world's energy artery is enough. Even the threat of disruption has already caused rising shipping insurance costs, delayed cargo routes, market instability. Meanwhile, the U.S. faces a dilemma: tighten pressure, right pointing arrow, risk escalation. Ease pressure, right pointing arrow, appear weak. Iran is exploiting this perfectly. Diplomacy under pressure. Pakistan continues mediation efforts, but diplomacy struggles to keep pace with events on the ground. Military actions continue. Jets deploy. Ships are blocked. Warnings escalate. Diplomacy becomes a thin layer over a rapidly moving crisis. One miscalculation could ignite everything. Global stakes rising. The situation is no longer about strength, it's about who makes the first mistake. Red lines are being drawn. The U.S. sees blockade as leverage. Iran sees threats to its shipping as war. These lines are converging. And when they meet, conflict may erupt instantly. Economic backlash hits the U.S. Recent data shows U.S. Producer price index rising to 4%, the highest since early 2023. Fuel prices are climbing, pushing transport costs higher. Supply chains under pressure. Inflation rising again. Internal contradictions are emerging. Officials claim stability, while data shows escalation. Public trust begins to weaken. Escalation risks expand. Talks of stronger military action are increasing within the U.S. Even extreme options are being considered. Meanwhile, Iran maintains oil flow. Military readiness remains intact. Other hotspots, like North Korea, add further pressure. The global system is becoming harder to control. A global power shift. China and Russia are now entering the scene diplomatically. Their involvement signals a major shift. The U.S. no longer dominates the chessboard. Iran gains strategic backing. Global alliances begin to shift. The crisis is no longer regional, it is becoming global. Trump faces a defining choice. At the center of this crisis stands Donald Trump. He faces two paths. De-escalate right-pointing arrow risk appearing weak. Escalate right-pointing arrow risk global conflict. Neither guarantees victory. Time is running out. Every hour increases the risk. A misinterpreted signal. A small military clash. A sudden escalation. Any of these could trigger a chain reaction across the world. Final moment. The world is watching, not out of curiosity, but out of necessity. Because the decision made now could reshape global power for years to come. At this moment of extreme tension, there is no room for error. And one question remains. Will he choose de-escalation, or confrontation?